Today I'm building a really easy and quick project which makes a great outdoor project, outdoor decor for the summers or for fall or holidays. It makes great decor as well to put it on the porch, at the fireplace, as a centerpiece. Also for wedding centerpieces. I think it works beautifully. And it's a great way to use up scrap woods. I have a few cut-offs right here that I'm going to use up, and you might have enough scrap wood to use this up. Or if you are just starting out, this makes a great beginner project as well, because you get to learn the very basics of building. Measuring accurately, cutting accurately, and joining pieces of wood. Now, as always, I do have the plans for the 3 versions that I'm going to be showing you, and they are linked in the description below. But before we get started, if you are new, I am Anika, and my goal is to demystify DIY and inspire and empower you to build all of the things. And if you are just starting out with power tools and DIY and woodworking, you want to grab the Power Tools Simplified Guide, which is linked in the description below. Now, let's start building. Now, I do have the plans linked in the description below, but for the larger versions, it calls for 2x2 boards and a 1x10 board. And for the smaller versions, it calls for 3/4 inch square dowels and a 1x8 board. So I actually don't have enough 2x2 boards, which you can totally buy at the store. I prefer buying the Select Pines because they are a lot better quality. It's easier to get boards with less defects. But if you have a table saw, you can easily rip up your own 2x material to make your own 2x2s. And if you do that, you're able to actually make them for super cheap. But if you don't have a table saw, do not get discouraged. Go to the store and buy 2x2 boards. I do have a detailed video that shows you exactly how to pick the best boards that look great and are straight and easy to work with. So I am going to start ripping up my 2x, I think this is a 2x6. It is a 2x6. I'm going to rip up the 2x6 on my table saw and make some 2x2 boards. If you decide to make your own 2x2s, you want to start by ripping off about a 1/4 inch from one edge of the board to get rid of the rounded edge. Then you can set the table saw fence at 1.5 inches. Make sure you put the straight edge that you just cut towards the fence and just rip the board to make your 2x2 boards. Remember, 2x2 boards are 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Now it's time to make all the cuts for the lanterns. Now there are a bunch of cuts that are made at the same length. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and set up a stop block to make repeatable cuts, so I don't have to measure again and again. And also some of these cuts are pretty tiny, so it's best to have a stop block so you can cut safely. Next up are the pieces for the roof. So I set my miter saw at 45 degrees and made those cuts. So now that we have all of these cut, it is time for sanding. Now, sanding is tedious and time consuming, but it is also the most critical thing that makes your project look professional. So we are going to go ahead and sand all of these pieces one by one. It's probably not going to take too long because the boards are not very rough to start with. I think I can start with a 120 grit and work up from there. But if you are using extremely rough lumber, you might have to start from 60 or 80 grit, and then you just step up about 60 grits at a time. And yes, it's super hot, and I am going to have my fan over here on me while I do the sanding. There are many tips in my sanding video, but my best tip to you when you're sanding is to, number 1, make a pencil scribble so you know exactly how much to sand, and to go down step by step in grits. Plus, get some Bluetooth ear protection and put some nice tunes on and just sand away. Okay, now we are ready to put it all together. Now, to put it together, we're going to use, of course, wood glue, but we also need a fastener. Now for that, using a nail gun with brad nails, 18 gauge 1.25 inch nails is the best way, easiest, quickest way. But if you don't have a nail gun, you can also use what are called trim head screws. These are screws, but they have a really tiny head, so when you attach them, they're just a little bit bigger than what they would be if you were using nails. So you could use these screws and a drill driver to attach these boards, and I'll show you how to do it with both of them. So first up, we have the 2 long sides and the 2 short sides. So we are going to go ahead and build it like so. So I'm going to put some wood glue and use my finished nails. Now, one thing you want to remember is anytime you're adding these nails, you want to make sure they are on one side of the joint. And I will tell you more about why you want to do that in just a little bit. And yes, the nails shot through on the outside, and I am going to realize that in just a little bit after I clean up all of the wood glue. So I had to pull them out, clean it up, and add some more nails. And this can be solved by changing the direction of the nozzle that you hold the nail gun at. Now we need to make 2 of these, and for the next one that we're going to put together, I'm going to show you how to use the trim head screws for one of the joints. So you can use that if you don't have a nail gun, you can use that and build the entire project. So first things first, I'm going to pre-drill exactly where I want to add the screws, and then I'm going to go ahead and just add the screws in. It's as simple as that. And I like that these screws are self-countersinking, so they sit underneath the surface, and you can easily cover that up with wood putty if you wanted to. I also realized that it's a lot easier to attach boards by holding them vertically like this, so that's what I did going forward. And of course, I resorted back to my nail gun because it is so much quicker and I don't have that much patience to stand in this hot garage. Okay, so now it's time to attach the vertical sides. Now, to do that, I want to show you something because we have to be very careful on how we attach. And remember, I said that we're going to keep the nails that we add in right now on one side of the board. And this is why. So here's how it's going to go here. And remember, we kept these nails over here because now I'm going to put nails through here, and now I can put them on this side of this board and they will not hit and interact with this, because if they would interact with this, the nails would then curl up and come out other ways and they wouldn't really do what they're supposed to do. So now by keeping these nails on this edge, we've kind of taken care of the problem. So now we can add the nails right here, and they will go right through this way. I found that the easiest way to attach these long supports is to do the diagonal ones first. And once both of the diagonals are attached, it is so much easier to support the rest of the boards and attach them. And now I can just go ahead and attach the top. So there is our cage. And now I'm just going to add the base in. This is that 1x10 board that we cut. And again, just nail and glue. Now comes the fun part, adding the roof of our house lantern. So we've got 4 angled pieces, right? We've got 2 long and 2 short pieces. So where each of the sides is going to be made up of 1 long and 1 short. And the way they go on there is the long one goes like this, and the short one goes right underneath, and they meet up like so. That's it. They sit that way, and we're just going to add wood glue, and we're going to add the nails going right through these edges and hold them in place. And then the last thing that's left is the board that goes right in the middle there. It goes like a diamond in here, and it aligns just like that. So I'm going to add some glue and some nails, and we're good to go. So there is the house-shaped lantern, but I also built another version which is wider. So you have a square version and a rectangular version, but I'm not done yet. We're going to build another version with smaller dowels. And for this one, I am going to be using 3/4 inch square dowels. You can find these in the hobby board section of home improvement stores. They come in 3-foot lengths. And if you don't have a miter saw, you can also use a miter box and a handsaw to cut this down as well. So I've got all of my 3/4 inch square dowels cut. Now the first thing I need to do is take this label off, which is always such a pain. So I'm gonna use my heat gun and get them all off first. Okay, so we've got the vertical pieces, we've got the 2 sets of side pieces, and then these are the roof pieces. And I have my 1x8 piece cut out for the base. So building this is exactly like building the bigger piece, except that we're gonna use 1.25 inch nails, and we're probably gonna have to use just a single nail on each corner. I don't like doing that. I always like to have at least 2 nails or 2 fasteners for everything, because otherwise one nail acts as a pivot point and things rotate around it, and it's really hard to keep things aligned really well as you are attaching. But let's see how this turns out. We'll figure it out. The process is exactly the same like we did with the other lanterns. I'm going to build the top and the bottom using glue and finish nails. And you want to make sure that you keep your fingers away from that joint as you're driving in the nail. Or you could use a screw here as well. It did not curl out. Awesome. Okay. Let's do the diagonally opposite. And now for the top. Next up is the base, again with wood glue and finish nails. And then it is time for the roof, which I was expecting would be a little bit harder because they're so small pieces, but it actually worked out just fine. And now the center post. And it's done. Now it's time for the final finish, and the lanterns are done. And here are the 3 lanterns. They can be used and decorated in so many different ways. And remember, I have the detailed plans to build any of these 3, all of these 3 available for you. So check the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time with another tool tutorial or project video. Which one will it be? I'll see you next time. Bye.